Good morning. So it's morning for me. Happy Thursday. Y'all, I'm showing up here today in a very candid, vulnerable, share day because I made a promise to myself to show up and share here with you all. And I'm honoring it basically. I want to honor it by showing up. So I've been thinking about this. I am going to share this to my podcast, which I always feels like gets syndicated out to the world. And so this is a really vulnerable, open share about kind of what's going on in the very messy middle of organizing things in my business in a way that I want them to be. And I normally feel very organized and put together, and I like my content to be that way too. Today is not going to be organized. It was kind of an inspiration, like just show up the way you are and share what's going on because that is actually helpful to people. So let me give you a little context. If you've been following me for the last couple of months, you know I've been talking about a program and this whole concept of going from worth to wealth, this idea of owning worth and wealth. And let me just declare right now, I have thrown that in the trash. That is not the path I'm taking. And the reason I've done that is because in the releasing of it and then getting feedback from certain people who I respect deeply, they asked really good questions. And it had me go even deeper into why I am here and what I'm doing, right? So I'm a really good marketer. I know business, I know marketing, I understand branding, I understand the details. And what makes me really good at it is the practical application. So I do that to myself. I want to be very practical in what I do. And what I realized as I was putting the details around this program, because my intention around this program was to create something that is a sustainable anchor, like it represents the kernel, the nugget, like the main core of what I offer to the world. I realized that's not correct. It's got so many pieces, but it's not correct. The idea of taking you on a journey of worth to wealth towards consistent income was the intent. Is more about what I'm here to explore and share with you and teach you as I grow this. So I've reached a stage in my work and in my development and in my business where I want to really focus on the element of worth as a spiritual, intuitive woman, right? So as a society, as the world is changing, this concept of worth for intuitives and spiritual people is changing. When I first started doing what I do, it wasn't, you couldn't tell people this is what you did openly. It wasn't legitimate. And the more specific you were about your work, the less legitimate it was. It was very marginalized, very tucked into a corner, very specific. And the way that I use spirituality and intuition is very practical, daily, can apply to anyone. And so merging these two things and holding them with a sense of credibility is my journey. And that's part of what I want to do over the whole year in conversations, in dialogue, in exploration, and in understanding what contributes to credibility for a whole field, right? So that's where, it's like such a huge thing for me to talk about worth. And I'm interested in wealth. I'm interested in this concept of wealth as freedom. Wealth, having an abundance of something, gives you the freedom to approach whatever it is you want from that resource, So maybe you have an abundance of love and it gives you the freedom to be more loving. Or if you have an abundance of whatever it is you're seeking, like an abundance of confidence, you have a whole lot more freedom in the way that you show up in the world, right? And for me, I converted that as a business goal to wealth because I want financial wealth to give me the freedom to do all the things that money gives me, right? So these are my journeys and they are combined because as I resolve and grow and reconcile the whole concept of worth, it will naturally create greater wealth for me. Wealth in money, wealth in a lot of things. But this journey is mine, and it's also mine to share with you freely. What I realized is that that journey is not my service. My service is different. My service is intimately tied to my particular intuition and my gift. And I want to just do a shout out for Annie, who's the one that really nailed me. And it's just beautiful to have clients that have worked with you long enough to be peers and colleagues and able to see you and ask you the hard questions, but also know your capacity. And so she asked me and she called me out on some things. And the truth is, my work is oracle work. When I work with people in business or in anything, the question posed, the challenge on the table, the situation you bring is what creates clarity and flow for me to receive answers for you. So there's a listening, and then there's a receiving for me and a sharing with you. And it's extremely practical. So this is my service, taking that particularly unique intuitive capacity and applying it in a way that's helpful for you in your growth and transformation. So my service is also very spiritual. And I've really been exploring this concept because of all the questions that have come up as a feature of me saying, here, I want to offer this program to people. It's actually really about being a mystic. And I was last night, I put this on my Instagram, but I had another beautiful person come into my life this year, Erin, who suggested I read this book. And I haven't read the whole book, but I've read pieces of this book. And holy cow, like just reframing the entire concept of our journey as spiritual women into the path of mystic. Maybe you've already done this, but I've always gotten hung up on this idea that what I do is woo, right? First of all, I hate using the term, but I understand when I say it, it's a generally conceived concept. We all understand things that are woo-woo, or you'll hear people say, oh, I don't want to go all woo on you, right? But in both of those cases, in many instances, it's used to distance ourselves because that is marginalized. And when you shift to understanding that this is the mystic part of me, all of us are mystics who've begun a spiritual journey. We're all looking at the component of how we live our lives in greater alignment with our soul. That's what makes you a mystic. It's very simple. It's like if you're walking the path to live in alignment with your soul in your whole life and all the things that you do, then you're walking a mystic's path. There's a real legitimate like body of work and knowledge and teaching and ancients and gurus. And this isn't this discounted, discredited thing that we often feel when we're practicing our craft or our gift or our intuition and turning it into something that is of service to other people. So a lot of this has been churning for me, right? Like understanding this and coming back to owning who I am is the second part of it, like owning my gift and being able to declare it. And then the last part for me is getting truly tactical and practical. Like that is the nature also of my gift. I don't teach spirituality from these like really good feeling statements. I teach and guide and support people with very practical, tactical, you're living this situation. Here's the guidance I have for you for how to apply your life, apply spiritual practices, thoughts, alignment, inner growth, soul work to the actual situation at hand, to the how do you move through this? How do you apply it? I always think one of my favorite things to do is to listen to Abraham Hicks in the morning. So Abraham Hicks is my like morning meditation in the shower. And I'm always listening to their guidance. And I think I can completely get where people are when they're sitting there like, how do I get the money in the bank? How? And a lot of times for me, the how is clear. There is the alignment you have to do that Abraham speaks to, but knowing how to be aligned in a situation that's pulling you in multiple directions in the practice of this now moment is always the question. We're always finding that journey. And that's really what I have to offer. That's going to be the program that you'll hear from me in the future. It's like doing all of these things and holding that space and supporting you to live in the aspirations that your soul is calling you to. So this is just, you can tell I get all excited about some of this stuff. There was something else that I wanted to cover with you all before I left. Oh, the practical. The practical for me at this stage is that before I really want to show up, like today, this was a difficult thing for me to do. Before I really want to show up, I like to be clear. I like to know what I'm talking about. I like to know how this fits into the thing that's coming, right? I'm not at that space. I can't really tell you because the words have not fully landed on the page. I cannot tell you how it's going to play out over the year. I know that I'm feeling things out for a year and for 3 years. So I'm using my intuitive senses to plan my business for the next year to 3 years. I can't see all the way 3 years out, but I do have a very clear sense of the year and the components I want to put into it. And I'm still receiving more ideas and clarity and allowing myself to stretch beyond what I have historically done without limiting myself. So there's all of these things that are happening because I want to have like I want you to receive the organized pieces that help you on that journey as well. And because I'm not there, I was like, well, I can't really show up yet. Well, I'm showing up because, again, this is about honoring myself, and to honor myself, excuse me, and grow my worth. I have to honor myself, they go together. In order for me to create any kind of wealth, I have to have worth. To have worth, I have to honor myself. I have to value who I am and who you are. So there's my partial teaching in that. Yeah, I think that covers what I wanted to make sure I covered for you all today. I'm just listening to see if there was something else, because it was like, all right, I need to make sure you guys know the messy middle. And I think in closing, I wanted to share this because I work with so many businesswomen who are highly spiritual, who are navigating how to be connected and listening to their spiritual guidance, their inner guidance, and apply it in their business and real life. And there's this start and stop nature to our work because we grow in the process of doing the thing. That's especially true for me as a human design profile 3. And I've chosen to accept it. I'm not comfortable with it, but we all grow spiritually. And I know I posted a few weeks back about when you release a program, that program, when you're a spiritual person, is going to call you to task. Like, if you want to teach and deliver this, then you've got to be really, really clear. So I'm going through that process, and it's okay for it to be a little messy. And that's okay for me at this point. Like, it's all okay for us. And I thought it would be helpful to share with you all so that you would know too, it's okay for it to be messy and you get derailed for a bit. I think the important part is to stick to the things that you said you were going to do to honor yourself. So it's not about sticking to the program I said I was going to do. That's not the promise. The promise is staying true to myself and honoring myself. And for me, it means showing up here and sharing with you. That's the way I open the door. So, what can you expect going forward? You're going to hear more from me about this journey of worth and maybe the journey of wealth. Wealth, in terms of, I know it gets shared a lot in terms of numbers. I don't really care about the numbers. I care about like such a bigger direction. It's not the little bits. I want to take the journey to someplace so much larger that it's the little, each step doesn't, that's not where I'm going. I'm much more interested in the experience of this now, right? Um, you are going to hear more from me as an oracle. That is part of what I committed to when I was talking with my friend Annie. It's like I have tended to put that second, and I lead with my business background and my marketing background and the practical tactical. But the truth is, what makes me very good in business is the fact that I'm an oracle, because I do receive answers. And I've said this for a long time. I said this when I sold marketing stuff. The truth is, you can show up with a problem in whatever course is going on with your business, and another person can show up with the exact same problem, and I will never have the same answer for both of them. It doesn't work that way. What I receive is dependent on what people bring to the table. They're bringing their soul dreams, their soul path to the table. So, yeah. Hi, I'm your friendly neighborhood oracle. It's been a pleasure showing up today. I hope this was helpful to you. And you know what would be really wonderful is if you leave me a comment somewhere. Maybe it'll be an email, maybe it'll be in Substack. If you follow me on Instagram, that's great too. Those are my favorite places. But I'd love to hear, how did this land for you? How does it relate to you and your experiences? And thank you for following me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for listening to here. We'll see you guys.